The electric escape. 10 years have passed since Chris has been captured. Chris, shackled by his feet, walks into a dimly candle-lit courtroom. Electricity has never been invented due to Benjamin Franklin never making his discovery as Chris and Aaron interrupted him prior to the lightning strike. Time seems to have frozen for Chris, he seemingly hasn't aged a day in the past 10 years. He is addressed as
Der Mann mit einem Loch im Auge.
Assigned a German name as he had no identification on him at the time of his capture. The court declares his release, stating that he has served his sentence of 10 years for being spy with conspiracy against the Republic of German America. Chris is granted freedom and 30 days to find employment. As he begins his out clearance, he receives an identity card, a list of potential jobs and housing, and the clothes he wore upon his arrest. He is also handed a $5 bill, labeled as 5 schnickels, to start his new life. However, before leaving the courthouse, a guard reminds him of a forgotten bag. Chris retrieves the bag, realizing it contains the 13 pounds of powder Aaron brought from North Korea. Stepping out of the courthouse, Chris experiences the outdoors for the first time in 10 years, realizing that it has been a decade since he last saw Aaron, as they were separated. The streets are dark, stinky, and filled with poverty, as if life has regressed and evolution never occurred. Feeling overwhelmed and unsure of where to begin, Chris reads the list of recommended housing options and starts his search, navigating the streets of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the Republic of German America. It takes him 6 hours to locate one of the recommended halfway houses. He knocks on the door and is met by an elderly man who confirms that he is there for the halfway house. Chris enters, pays the rent of 1 schnickel per day, and is assigned room number 300. Exhausted, he throws the bag onto the bed and contemplates his next move. Suddenly, his gaze falls upon the bag containing the powder. It triggers a memory of the influence it had on him when he built the machines years ago. Chris knows what he must do. Without hesitation, he prepares a line of powder, snorting it. The effects are immediate, and he grabs a knife, slicing into his arm, extracting the hidden component he had concealed during his time in incarceration. Examining the device with a grin, Chris formulates a plan. He retrieves his ID and the bag of powder, leaving the residents with newfound determination. On the streets, Chris makes his way to a local shop, his footsteps echoing against the pavement. With a sense of purpose, he enters the shop and browses through the shelves, searching for something that could aid him in his mission. His eyes land on a mechanical pocket watch, a wind-up radio, and a rotary phone. Determined to acquire these items, he approaches the counter and exchanges his last 4 schmeckels for the devices. Feeling a gnawing hunger in his stomach, Chris decides to find a momentary escape from his reality. He walks into a nearby alleyway, a place hidden from prying eyes. In the dimly lit alley, he takes out a small vial and carefully pours a white powder onto his palm. Without hesitation, he snorts the powder, hoping it will momentarily alleviate his hunger and provide a respite from the harshness of his circumstances. As the powder takes effect, Chris feels a temporary numbness wash over him. The hunger fades into the background, replaced by a temporary sense of detachment. With a renewed focus, he gathers his wits and continues his journey back to his residence. Finally, Chris arrives in his room, his mind still under the influence of the powder. Fueled by a mix of desperation and determination, he begins to disassemble the recently acquired pocket watch and rotary phone, with shaking hands from his drug-induced state. He as carefully as he can separates the intricate mechanisms, revealing the hidden potential within. As he disassembles the devices, Chris retrieves the component he had kept hidden for all these years. It holds a special significance, a remnant of a past he desperately wants to change. With a surge of hope, he starts assembling the pocket watch, rotary phone, and the concealed component together. Piece by piece, Chris skillfully combines the mechanisms, connecting the wires, and tightening the screws. The room is filled with a sense of purpose, each movement driven by a desire to alter the course of history and reunite with Aaron. With the devices now merged, Chris places the finished creation on the table. A sense of both excitement and apprehension fills the air. He picks up the receiver of the rotary phone, takes a deep breath, and speaks into it. "Booga booga, I'm going to tickle you, my raisin brain is mushy. I'm a terrorist. Chris gently places the receiver down and waits, his heart pounding in his chest. The room is silent, the only sound being his own heavy breaths.